Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back to do a band spotlight slash raids video. Wanted to talk about this absolutely killer band that I discovered here recently, that I've been really getting into. I just recently finally got in the last piece of their catalog, so I figured I would give them their own little video because I think a lot more people need to hear this band, especially if you're a fan of death metal. And that band is called Korpsesoturi, and they are a death metal band originally from Helsinki, now located in Kouvola, Finland. Been around since 2014. So far, they have an EP and two full lengths to their credit. And like I said, excuse me one second, I gotta reach over and grab something here. I actually finally tracked down all of their albums, or both their albums and their EP. So we're gonna kick things off with their self-titled. And I actually had to get this out of Mexico from Death in Pieces Records, and it actually came with a cool little cover art button, which I will definitely be putting to use at some point. But yeah, as I said, this is their debut EP, originally put out by Kako Damon in 2017 on tape, limited to 50 copies. Death in Pieces Records out of Mexico put this out on CD the same year, limited to 500 copies. And yeah, this is basically 11 minutes of pure, unpolished, old school death metal after, a very creepy sounding intro of what sounds like this really creepy music box music. This thing goes straight for the throat without any real buildup after that. It's just full speed ahead. Thick, rumbly bass that does its job laying down that backbone throughout the entire album. Only really in track number 4, and I'm going to butcher this because all their song titles and everything is in Finnish, so I apologize ahead of time, but Juhan Mustan. During that opening and a little bit later in the song, do you really get a good sense of the tone that the bass has. All around solid drumming on this EP with lots of good double bass and blast beats. The guitars on here alternate between these fast-pitched, kind of tremolo style riffs and more mid-paced chugs and grooves. Vocalist Juha's vocals are very powerful mid-range growls with the occasional screams tossed in. And then the CD version actually has 4 exclusive rehearsal tracks, and those ones still have that dirty kind of old school death metal feel to them, but they also have a slightly cleaner sound overall. It's like they kind of polished it just a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, very solid debut offering from this band. And then we have Malus Corpus. And this is the band's debut full-length album put out by Rotted Life Records back in 2018. And with this one, the production has greatly improved compared to the EP. I thought the EP sounded good, but this is you can definitely tell there's been an improvement as far as the production goes. The drums sound even better on here. They're more faster paced. The double bass and blast beats are still on point, and just absolutely great patterns, rolls, and fills all over this thing. The guitars have a slight HM2 feel now on here. They're still fast paced with a bit of a black metal feel to some of the riffs I found, with lots of headbangable grooves, and you still get those more chuggy riffs and grooves mixed in with everything. Juha's bass is still thick and dirty. It has it sits a little bit lower in the mix than the guitars, but it can still be heard easily laying down that solid backbone for the songs, and I think his vocals are as powerful as ever on this album. His snarls and screams just sound absolutely sick on here, a lot sicker than the EP. And for this album, they actually re-recorded 2 songs off of the EP, which are, again, I'm going to butcher these, and I apologize, Vervini and Poihanen Perkele, which that is probably the one sounds the sickest compared to the EP version. I love the version on this album. I love the original version, but this version sounds way sicker, and I really enjoyed the sound of it on here. One thing I did pick out on here too comes in track number 5, Tuha Verta. Actually, that song actually starts out, because the album is mostly fast paced, but this song actually starts very doomy with this distorted riff and light sounds of rain, and then this slow heavy bass riff and drum beat kicks in, with the guitars finally joining fully a short time later with a very doom deathish riff. But finally, when you get to the 2-minute mark, it's back to business as usual and straight to the point, fast-paced death metal. Yeah, again, absolutely solid stuff from this band. And last, but most certainly not least, we have their latest release, Korpsesoturi. Absolutely love that cover. This is their second, and as I said, latest full-length album put out by Extreme Music back in 2020. He actually put it out on tape, limited to 50 copies, this is actually how I was introduced to the band. I found this on Gurgling Gore, and I picked that up, and I listened to it over and over, and I was like, man, I've got to find the CD, and then I pretty much tracked down everything else from there. But yeah, absolutely killer album. Definitely my favorite out of the 3 releases for sure, though like I said, I've enjoyed everything they've put out thus far. This actually has probably their best drum sound yet, I think. It sounds more powerful overall compared to the others. The snare has a thicker sounding snap to it. Still lots of cool patterns, rolls, and fills, and the double bass and blast beats, as always, are on point. Juha's thick and dirty sounding bass now has a little bit of a fuzz to it, which, you know, makes it sound even better in my opinion, and definitely makes it stand out a little bit more in terms of clarity. Not so much in the, you know, level it is in the mix, but you can actually pick it out a lot more and hear it doing its job throughout a lot more. Here he kind of utilizes a slightly lower growl than he did on the debut and the EP. Still very powerful and clear sounding, mixing in those nasty snarls and screams at times, and at times they even layered both styles of vocals, which I think sounds really cool. But it's the dirty, crunchy HM2 style guitars that really drive this album. Fast-paced with plenty of those heavy, chuggy, headbangable grooves to change things up just a little bit here and there. When you get into track number 5, Sapat Puyo Leon Verta. Like I said, I totally butchered that. I apologize. That groove in this song with the double bass underneath, is just a really great example of the killer grooves that this band knows how to write. The only issue I have with that song, though, is the bass feedback at the very end of the song goes on way too long. On tape, it actually makes you think there's something wrong with your tape, and I was worried the first time that I heard it, and the first couple times I should have said that I heard it, and then when I heard the CD version, and I realized that's just how the song ends. It's kind of annoying. You know, a little bit of a feedback outro, fine, but when you go on way too long like that, it makes me think there's something wrong. And then probably my favorite track on this album, again, I'm going to try my best to pronounce this, Karatuksen Kikia Voima. That song is just an absolute crusher of a song. Probably, like I said, probably my favorite on here, and it is easily the slowest paced track on this album. The bass just sounds heavy as fuck, mixed with those crushing, doomy riffs, though the song towards the end does kind of pick up pace a little bit, kind of back to its normal pace. But I think Juha's vocals sound absolutely savage on this song. Like I said, being the slowest and doomiest track on here, and probably one of the heaviest tracks on here, it definitely takes the cake as my favorite track on this album. So yeah, I will be leaving a link down below to this band's Bandcamp so you can check them out for yourself. I will actually, I think Extreme Music is the only one that has Korpsesoturi on their Bandcamp. I'll have to double check because I didn't see it on the band's Bandcamp. But yeah, definitely a killer band. Put out 3 absolutely solid releases in my opinion. I honestly can't really find too much to be wrong with this. I think more people definitely need to check this band out. And yeah, that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And if the band happens to see this, I apologize for butchering your names or song titles. You know, what do you expect from them, you know, an American? So yeah, that is going to do it. And until next time, stay brutal.